Hi guys, it's Jessica. I'm here today to give you a super quick crash course on how to get started with edPuzzle. I love edPuzzle. It allows me to be able to assign my students a video, but then stop and ask them questions or provide some notes along the way. Check this out. So here's a sample edPuzzle that I've made on something related to Wisconsin tourism. I was able to ask open-ended and multiple choice questions along the way, but I especially love the fact that I can also provide audio notes. So often with distant learners, there's been times where I wish I could pause and say something to them and then unpause the video, right? Like I would in class. edPuzzle allows me to do that. So I'm able to pause the video.
In today's video, you'll be learning about 3 places
in
Wisconsin that offer tourists and residents
alike. All right, so I was able to then provide kind of an intro to the video and what they're supposed to get out of it. So that to me is probably like my favorite feature, to be honest, that I can kind of stop and talk to my students as the video is progressing. So let's make one. All right, I'm going to go to just the homepage, edpuzzle.com, and I'm logged in. Okay, I'm going to click on My Content, then Add Content, Create a Video. Now from here, there are things that I can borrow from other people, but I often just take mine from YouTube. I see there are additional channels that you can borrow content from. I typically get mine from YouTube. So just for ease of this demo, I'm just going to go with YouTube. So again, I'll look for something related to Wisconsin and scroll through. Or I could paste in the actual URL to the video if I knew what it was. I don't have one picked, so I'll just take this one on Wisconsin Family Farm. And normally I would watch it through and make sure it was something I actually wanted. I'm going to go ahead and click Edit. All right, so if this video is too long, let's say it's an hour long, I'm sure you've had this happen where you've wanted to assign kids a video, but it's too long and you don't want the beginning. And the thought of trying to explain students to fast forward to, 10 minutes and 25 seconds and only listen until 17 minutes is annoying, and they're less likely to do it. Our stamina as a culture, we don't watch really long videos anyway. So keep this short so you can simply, right now my video is only 6 minutes. So I'm going to, just for demo's sake, shorten it down. And so now I'm looking at a 3-minute and 31-second video. And then I can also do voiceovers. So if there have been times where I've shown a video or wanted to show a video because the visual portion was correct, but the audio, like what people were saying, maybe was too complicated for my students to process, or was talking about material that we weren't going to cover in class. So it is possible to do a voiceover and copy over what the original audio was. And I can stop and ask questions. So this can be a little tricky to get started. So I can pick a multiple choice, okay? But I need to drag my cursor where I want this one to go. So I've dragged, I guess it's not really a cursor, the timeline head. So I've dragged it somewhere, and I'll write my question and my options. Notice I can do some formatting. I can even add a picture and a web link. That is really cool. You can make these questions pretty in depth. Or like there are a lot of options for you to consider as a designer. The one mistake that I have made here is I've forgotten to assign the right one. So check that out. This one, whichever one's marked with the green check, is correct. So you do want to watch that. I have botched a few of these because I got into a rush and I forgot that. And the students will tell me right away when I've made that mistake. So I'll click Save. And then I'll move my, I'll play it some more. Let's say there's my next one. Open-ended question, ask my question. Brilliant. Click Save. And so it'll stop there. If I like how it looks, I'll click Continue. And then I can also leave a note. So let's say I have a note I want to say to the kids. Okay, I can type it or I can say it. So don't forget, you guys, as you watch this portion of the video, be thinking of what this has to do with our upcoming project due next week about comparing this to something that you're experiencing on your farm. stop, click save. Obviously, I winged that. I have no idea what this video is about. And so now my video sample, 14 seconds, is uploading. Okay, so now I click continue. And so I would keep going through and repeating that, not repeating, but applying those types of questions or notes until I felt like I hit the end and I've gotten all that I can. Like I've encouraged students to pull from the video the content that I want them to be learning. And I feel like I'm doing a sufficient job checking for understanding. So I'm going to click finish to finish out my video. And I see I have 2 questions and 1 note. And if I like it, I'm good with it. Okay, I can obviously duplicate it if I need to tweak it for a different hour, or if I need to differentiate and mix up my questions for some of my students, right? So I'm going to go ahead and assign it. And I can have the start date assigned. Look at that, prevent skipping. I always leave that on because I don't want my students to be able to fast forward just to the questions and answer them. If I have it slid to green, they are not able to do that. They have to watch the whole video to be able to answer the questions. I can also turn on closed captioning. I only really do that if I have students who ask or who need that support. All right. Now I have already, when I made my account, I had aligned it to a Google Classroom. So it will pull the students in your Google Classroom and dole the video out to them. So I'm going to click my Google Classroom and check this out. I can even assign the video to just some and not all. That allows me to create, for example, that duplicate version and to be able to differentiate what's more appropriate for some of my students. I absolutely love that feature. So I'm going ahead, go ahead and click assign. And now that student has been assigned that work. All right, so let me show you what one looks like after a student has completed it. So I don't go to gradebook because I'm not going to grade it. I choose not to grade it within edPuzzle because I have to turn around and enter those scores into Classroom. Some of you might have Skyward or PowerSchool. So to me, I just don't, I would want my students to check Classroom for grades because that's where I keep mine. So I'm going to click on My Classes. And so I've assigned this one. And if you look at it, it says 6 new answers. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And so it would have a list of my students. So I can click on that student and be able to see how that student did, which ones they got wrong, and whether or not it was my fault, like for multiple choice, if I checked the wrong answers. It's a fantastic tool to use in flipped classroom situations or when you're learning remotely, like so many of us are right now. Good luck. If you have any questions, please let me know.